Okay, we're going to go over the first portion of your study guide. This is the first page, front and back, on solving inequalities. The first few problems are just graphing an inequality. So if your variable is written on the left side, then it's easy to graph. First, look and see if you have a line or not under your inequality symbol. On number 1, it's just a less than symbol. So that means that we're going to have an open dot on -1. And the less than is pointing to the left, just like this arrow points to the left. And so we just draw our arrow to the left. For number 2, once again, we do not have a line as part of this inequality symbol. So we're going to have an open dot on 0. It's a less than, which goes to the left. Notice that the arrow matches the less than symbol. Number 3, we have an open dot on 5, and v is less than 5. Number 4, we could rewrite this where we have the variable on the left. So instead of saying -3 is greater than or equal to x, we can say that x is less than or equal to -3. So this time, since we have this line under the less than symbol, it's got a line, so we take our time and shade in our dot so we have a closed dot, and the less than symbol matches it. Number 5, we have an open dot on -4, and it's less than. 6 would be like n is greater than 6. We have an open dot on 6, and we go to the right to match the arrow. Number 7, we have a closed dot on -2, and it's less than, so we go to the left. And number 8, we have a closed dot on -3, it's less than, so we go to the left. Numbers 9 through 14 are all solving an inequality and then graphing the solution. So looking at number 9, we're trying to get x by itself. This is x divided by 2. So we do the opposite, which is multiplying both sides by 2. And we will get 38 is less than or equal to x. We could rewrite that as x is greater than or equal to 38, and then we just graph it. Number 10, we're going to get rid of this 7 by multiplying both sides by 7 because we're doing the opposite of dividing. We get a is greater than 21, and so we're going to plot 21 as an open dot, and greater than goes to the right. Number 11, we're going to divide both sides by -15 to undo multiplying. We get 8. Now, when we multiply or divide both sides by a negative, our symbol flips. So we get 8 is greater than or equal to k, which is the same thing as saying k is less than or equal to 8. We have a closed dot on 8, and less than or equal to, the less than would go to the left. Number 12, we have a little two-step equation now. I'm going to box in the b term, get rid of positive 10 by subtracting 10 from both sides of the inequality. We get b over 2 is greater than -8. Then we're going to get rid of that dividing 2 by multiplying both sides by 2. And what remains is b is greater than -16. So we're going to graph that. An open dot on -16 and greater than goes to the right. Number 13, we're going to start with boxing in our x term, and we'll get rid of 6, so we'll subtract 6 from both sides. Then we have x over 2 is greater than or equal to -6. Going to multiply both sides by 2 to undo dividing 2, and get x is greater than or equal to -12. And we'll graph that with a closed dot on -12, greater than goes to the right. Number 14, we'll start with boxing in our x term, x over 10, getting rid of that -5 by adding 5 to both sides of the inequality. So on the right side, we have x over 10 remaining, and on the left side, -4 plus 5 is 1. Then we've got to multiply both sides by 10 to get x by itself. And what we get is 10 is less than or equal to x. Or we could rewrite that as x is greater than or equal to 10. We're just rewriting it in order to graph this inequality. And so we have a closed dot on 10, and greater than would go to the right. Starting with number 15, we're just solving inequalities. We're no longer graphing these. So on number 15, we want to get n by itself. So we'll subtract 1 from both sides of the inequality and get n is less than negative 20. Number 16, we want to get n by itself, so we're going to subtract 1 from both sides of the inequality, and we get n is less than 1. Number 17, we want to get k by itself, so we're going to subtract 5 from both sides to get k by itself, and we get 10 is greater than k. Number 18, we want to get n by itself, so we're going to undo multiplying by dividing both sides by negative 4. So we get n, and we have 5. Now when we multiply or divide both sides by a negative, our symbol flips. Number 19, we need to get rid of that dividing 19, so we're going to multiply both sides by 19. It'll cancel on the left side, and 12 times 19 is 228. Number 20, we want to get rid of that dividing 11, so we're going to multiply both sides by 11. So we're going to undo dividing 11 by multiplying. On the right side, we get b. On the left side, we get negative 165, and our inequality symbol stays the same because we multiplied both sides by a positive. Number 21, we want to get rid of this negative 19 that's multiplied by x, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 19. Now we're dividing both sides by a negative, so our symbol is going to flip, and 76 divided by negative 19 is negative 4. Number 22, we want to get rid of this negative 5 that is multiplied by p, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 5. We get p is greater than or equal to negative 6. We had to flip our symbol since we divided both sides by a negative. Number 23, our goal is to get p by itself, so we're going to get rid of this term 5 by subtracting 5 from both sides. We get negative 2p is greater than or equal to 18. And then we want to get rid of that negative 2 times p by dividing both sides by negative 2. Since we divided both sides by a negative, our symbol flips, and we have negative 9. So we have p is less than or equal to negative 9. Number 24, we want to get k by itself, so we're going to box in that k term and get rid of negative 2 by adding 2 to both sides of the inequality. So we've got k over 3 is greater than or equal to negative 3. To undo that dividing 3, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. And we've got k is greater than or equal to negative 9. Number 25, and box in our term 9r because we want that r term by itself. Going to subtract 4 from both sides of the inequality. We get 117 is less than 9r. And then divide both sides by 9 to get r by itself. And we get 13 is less than r. Number 26, I'm going to box in this negative 9x to get that x term by itself. We'll get rid of negative 9 by adding 9 to both sides. And so we get negative 9x is greater than negative 153. Now we are going to divide both sides by negative 9 to get x by itself. Remember, when you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, your symbol flips. And we get x is less than 17. Number 27 through 30 are all multi-step inequalities. these are inequalities where you need to do some simplifying before solving. So looking at 27, I have negative v plus 6v. These are like terms. I can combine them. Negative 1 plus 6 is 5. So I get 5v is greater than or equal to negative 5. Now divide both sides by 5. Since we've done our simplifying, we're now solving to get v by itself, and v is greater than or equal to negative 1. Number 28, we can do the distributive property first. We're going to distribute or multiply this negative 4 to each term in the parenthesis. So negative 4 times 3v is negative 12v. Negative 4 times positive 5 is negative 20. And we'll just bring down that less than negative 116. We've now got a two-step inequality. So we're going to box in this v term. We want it by itself, so we're going to get rid of the negative 20 by adding 20 to both sides of the inequality. We get negative 12v is less than negative 96. And we now need to get rid of the negative 12 by dividing both sides by negative 12. Remember, when you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, your symbol flips. And negative 96 divided by negative 12 is 8, so we've got v is greater than 8. Our last two problems, numbers 29 and 30. Number 29, we're going to start by doing the distributive property. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. 8 times negative 6k is negative 48k. And this is greater than 320. I'm going to box in this negative 48k because we want to get that term by itself. We've done our simplifying. We're now solving. So we're going to get rid of negative 16 by adding 16 to both sides of the inequality. And we get negative 48k is greater than 336. Our last step is to get k by itself. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 48. And k is less than negative 7. Last, we have this problem 30. We do have some like terms, 1 and negative 4. They're on the same side of the inequality, and they're like terms. They're both just constants. They're numbers. So 1 minus 4 is negative 3. And then I'm just going to bring down my minus 5x is less than 12. And so we've now got a two-step inequality. We're going to box in that term, negative 5x, and get rid of the negative 3 by adding 3 to both sides. The whole point of boxing in the term is just saying, I want this term by itself. I'm just identifying it. And so I've now got negative 5x by itself, and this is less than 15. And we want to solve for x, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 5. And since we divided both sides by a negative, our symbol flips, so we get x is greater than negative 3. We're finished with this portion of the study guide.